we really can't trust people to have parental controls. Let's just
no one is doing it.
Let's go back and be real and say, do you think your parents actually knew how to set up parental controls when that shit first came out?
Okay, well, my parents were immigrants, so that's different.
Beyond that, like that's the whole thing though. Like beyond just being immigrants, like straight up, the only person in my family that knew how to do that kind of shit was my grandfather, and you've met him. Yeah. Like, it's clear to know why he knew how to do that kind of shit. He had his direct TV set up so that only 2 out of the 5 TVs in the house could access certain channels.
But I remember
that's crazy.
Cable at my house was also set up like that, where there were some channels that you needed a password to get into.
And the same thing, I feel, should exist with the internet.
I mean,
but the
I agree.
internet in and of itself is just way too vast for it to be so simple. And so, like, yeah.
But there's always going to be some casualties. As much as that sucks to say.
Of course.
There's always going to be some casualties.
That's why I say, yeah, there's going to be some casualties to that effect. But fine, let the government handle it then. Since we can't really trust all these people to do it.
I want to sit up here and talk about let the government handle it.
If it's just
checks.
Oh my gosh. If it's just about like censoring the effects that certain things might have on the minds of the youth, I think that that's a little bit more important.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying, because I went to a school where we had a bunch of laptops.
You're also a Jehovah's Witness, so of course
I was.
Earlier, weren't you talking about how
I said it still
from this
fits.
sentiment?
Yeah, I said it's
you're
still
preaching everything they taught you.
No. My thoughts on this has nothing to do with that. Like, when it comes to it's not even like a religious thing. It's really just like, do you think that certain things need to be accessed by all people? My answer is absolutely no.
Oh yeah, no, 100%
like,
no.
straight up, I don't think everything
No.
needs to be accessed by everybody. And they're like, we need to bring, okay, this is an extreme example, but they're like, we need to bring internet to every square foot of the world. And I'm like, I'm going to be dead ass and say, no, we don't. Like, we don't need internet everywhere,
but
bro.
See,
like,
I disagree. I think we should.
I don't think that I should go into the middle of the Amazon and get Wi-Fi. I think that's weird.
Why?
Because maybe they don't want that.
Okay, no. Yes, I do believe there should be an option. If you don't want it, then yes, sure.
And if you can't explain it to them, then you can't really make assumptions.
That's different.
You can't make assumptions.
But at the same time, if we're flying over to Amazon and for some unfortunate event my plane goes down, it'd be kind of fire if I could just whip out my phone.
It happens all the time. Just happened.
And
like, I just watched
because there's no Wi-Fi.
Yes,
it's a lost cause. So again, to me, it sounds like we're trying to fix a problem.
that's the natural cause. That's the natural way of life.
Yeah,
maybe
no.
you shouldn't be flying over the Amazon so willy-nilly like that.
That's just okay. What? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Like because you're telling somebody like me who obviously I'm gonna go to Africa and I might casually, accidentally. I'm not flying the plane.
Satellite phones are a thing.
Course.
Satellite phones are a thing, and that for that same reason, I don't think that like imposing the internet or access to internet in its forms right now is something that we need to do.
We wouldn't
on all
impose
people.
it. We would just make it available in that area. Clearly, they wouldn't have.
You would have to
still.
install infrastructure for it, though.
Yeah, barely.
No, but
We
that's
have
the whole
infrastructure
thing.
that run under like the sea. I'm sure we could figure it out.
But that's
to
like
where
the whole thing.
These,
You'd have
these
to.
Vine people would not. Freaking,
You'd have to get consent from people who have absolutely no understanding of what it is that you're doing to build infrastructure
no Amazon,
in their
no Wi-Fi
place.
in the Amazon. I get that. No,
and that's why I said that's an extreme example.
You pull up to the Amazon. There's no Amazon 2.4 gigahertz to log into. I get that. Honestly, that's fine.
It's just Amazon underscore rainforest 2.4G.
Yeah. But in all reality, how many people really go to the Amazon? But I'm saying for places like, so let's say when I was in like Thailand, I would not have minded if there was just a universal Wi-Fi just throughout the entire world that just worked.
Yeah, obviously.
You know what I mean? Like,
great.
so places like that we can communicate with, that we can set up infrastructure, that we can set up rules and boundaries. I do think, again, communications, like, I shouldn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. I don't think kids should have access to the whole wide internet, right? There's a lot out there. both
It's
good
just
and
very,
bad.
it's very in the same expanding universe that the internet exists on.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult to even set a standard.
Yeah.
And so I do see what you're saying. Like, yeah, we can't limit children's access to the internet in its entirety, but where do we really draw the line? Like, it's very hard to find that place.
I guess my only thing is, which by all means I don't have kids. What do I really know?
Yeah.
And clearly I'm above the age. This doesn't even affect me. I watch all the porn I want on TikTok.
We got
Reddit,
no
whatever.
limits.
Yeah.
Everything's on the white list.
Unhinged. But I just don't want this to get to a point where, let's say, again, we do live in a culture where these things happen. If I were to have kids, I don't want, for some reason, I don't know why this would happen, but all cell phone towers to be down and there's like an active school shooting and nobody can even hop on Twitter and send out a tweet saying, yo, somebody's lighting the place up. I guess that's my fear long term, because I was at work doing what I was doing and I wasn't able to turn off the parental controls or whatever system that's in place that they can't use the internet.
I feel like that your fears in that regard are a little bit over the top. Simply because
over the top?
No, listen, because they're not saying that they're going to get rid of all social media. If I'm going to be completely real, the things that they're going to target are going to be mostly Twitter, but Facebook and Instagram, because those have been proven to be damaging to the youth. Yeah. Twitter is just kind of like hit or miss, like
BBLs and lip suctions and and now there's the trend of men in the vacuum. Which look into that in your own time, and it is just ridiculous.
My thing is like Twitter is kind of like hit or miss. You could probably make a case that so long as you could mute a certain demographic of accounts, you'd be safe.
Yeah.
Like, you're really totally fine there. Mm-hmm. And if a kid is not following any of those accounts or those accounts are blacklisted and they're still able to tweet to their friends, tweet out to other like news sources even sometimes, that is still case in point. Like, we're fine in that realm. But what I'm talking about is like Facebook. Like, frankly, at no point in my youth did I really need Facebook.
I definitely think Facebook, people who rely on Facebook definitely gradually decline in life.
Yeah,
I don't know why. But the people who share their entire life on Facebook, they're always doing bad.
Yeah.
There has to be something in the water.
Yeah. I don't know, dude.
But I agree with that.
But my basic premise is like, mostly that, yeah, sure, I want kids to learn whatever they can learn. And I don't want them to be thwarted in being able to let somebody know when there's an emergency. But I don't think that this is going to extend to the level of like, there's an active shooter and the kids weren't able to tweet about it. And therefore, nobody knew anything. Like,
we see where it starts, but where does it end? Right? Because eventually, in some of these spaces, in some of these states, that is not a far off thing to think that they would just block entire. Because I mean, what, in Florida you can't even use your own pronouns, and God forbid somebody else uses your pronouns, because now you both are going to jail. So we're already seeing where it starts about limiting people access to resources, and it's labeled as something else. So where do we draw the line on?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not seeing how social media is the only solution to us being able to talk about threats or problems.
Well, it's the only way we communicate.
It's not the only way. I feel like there are way more ways
How else have you been communicating with strangers?
I mean, you could at any point, in theory, if I'm not mistaken, in some municipalities, you can text 911. And they will still get that information.
That's crazy. Could you imagine?
Calling 911 and just throwing your phone and leaving it on the floor is also another very valid way of handling an issue. Like,
I mean,
for me personally,
we've come to find that sometimes calling 911 will lead to your own demise. So that doesn't always work.
And what I'm saying here is that, like, in that regard, we need to have something else then. Like, we don't need to only have Twitter. If the only thing that we can ever look to is like, the only way anybody knew something was going on was because one person tweeted in a thread.
Okay, I mean, I agree with you.
That's not always the case.
But in reality, that is how it's happening now. Like, yes, maybe we do need something else. Yes, I would love for that to not be the case, but right now, that is the only way it's happening. Like, because again, we talk about this
And
all
Twitter
the time.
wants to talk about they're trying to monetize.
Even on CNN will be like, breaking news, active da 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 da, and then what will they do? Pull up social media footage and people talking about it and stuff. So it is happening on social media.
But what I'm saying is that it's not the responsibility of youth in these scenarios for that to be the only way that that's circulated. Like, if everybody wants there to be a emergencies only fucking social media platform, do that shit then. Make a Firefly version of Twitter where all it is kids tweeting about shit going on at school.
That would just get sad and depressing.
And here's another weird idea. Twitter's out here talking about all these ways that they want to diversify their income and diversify their business. Create a fucking children's Twitter. Like, I feel like at its premise, so many people would praise the company for that. It'd be very difficult. But do it. Fuck it. It would devolve into chaos.
No. See, but that's exactly why they wouldn't do it.
But let it be an attempt, at least.
And then, because the thing about kids and them being on social media is they really just do a lot more of what they do in real life. So a kid's Twitter, as they get older, would just be regular Twitter. Like, it wouldn't be much different. And even
still... These, like, the most recent active shooter situations have not been in the types of places where you would truly expect children to have active engagement on Twitter. Like, they've been at, like, elementary schools. So, like, the minimum age for Twitter is 13. So if a 12-year-old gets on there, and even if a 12-year-old is like, there's an active shooter, there's actually a higher chance that their account gets taken down than anything else becomes of that.
I'm just saying we got to figure something out with this.
And that's what I'm saying. And I think that the solution is a little bit easier on the company side, like the people who make the software. Sure, yeah, the government is regulating it now because they have no stake in it. They don't give a fuck.
Montana banned TikTok, which means, as long as you're within the state of Montana, the IP address, you won't be able to download or use it. So, there are ways to do it. I'm sure there are ways to...
Which is so wild to me. You're just, like, watching your shit, and you drive over the border, and it's, like, cannot connect.
Yeah, apparently... Well, so, what they also did is,
people are doing
They were
VPNs.
smart. They were smart about it, too. That is what happened. There was a rise in, like, VPNs coming out of Montana and everything. But instead of, fining people for using TikTok, which obviously would have never gone well with the public... Now it's TikTok was taking all the fines. So if people in the state are like, oh, yeah, we found a way around it. Yeah, that's cool. Now we're just going to find TikTok. So they will block your account so you can't use it ever again.
Damn.
Right? Because you don't want to keep paying $5,000, $50,000 fine for random people in the middle of the country. You know what I mean?
No. We're cool off that.
So I do think there are ways around it. The TikTok battle is still going on, even though we've heard a lot less about it recently. But I think it's interesting. There's a lot going on with social media right now and who should be on it, who shouldn't be on it, what should be posted, what shouldn't be posted. And again, people thought the internet was here as a fad. So anyway, there has not been any charges pressed against Conor McGregor for knocking out that mascot.
But we're hearing about possible other charges being pressed against him for rape.
Oh, okay. Well,
that same evening.
That's not where I was gonna take that at all. So that's interesting.
I'm just adding more updates. Well, I'm just adding updates.
So Conor McGregor had a bit with some mascot, laid him out. That's what
but
I was
like actually laid him out.
That's what I wanted to talk about. But let's hear more about what you said.
All right, so I'm gonna look it up. Conor McGregor on the same night that he was accused of beating up the mascot,
okay.
like straight up. Anybody can say what they want. Accused, alleged. I watched this man get knocked off his feet. Okay.
No, the first one was part of the bit.
Yeah, even if it was. Said. Yeah, even if it was on the bit, bro.
I do think, however, part of the bit or not, it is Conor McGregor. Say what you want about fighting, if it's real or not on TV. I kind of realized that hit, the first one, connected a little too good because of the way his feet fell and the way he couldn't get up. He was a little dazed. I'm just not sure why the follow-up happened. You know what I mean? Like, why? What was the point of you going back and giving him the 2-piece?
Yeah,
because that for sure.
Let him breathe.
And they had to drag him out. When they had to drag, I was like, that's not part of the bit. That can't be.
Yeah,
they
no.
No. But what happened later on that evening?
So according to this, the assault may have happened in the Kezia Center. Like,
was it Damascus?
No. Goddamn. No. So it was who he was at the game with. Yeah. So it says that she was violently sexually assaulted in the bathroom at Miami's Kaseya Center. And then they said, like, they were reviewing the footage of them, like, at the game afterwards, and she was, like, her body language told the story that she was not really trying to be up in there anymore. And I'm like, damn. Why this man commit major felonies every time he come out? Like, I
get
just...
this man out the country, man.
We really do.
Yo,
like, honestly, dog, leave.
This is kind of ridiculous.
You're wild for that.
That is ridiculous.
You beat somebody up and then went and did some dirty actions and then just came back out like it was all sweet, bro. Honestly, fired.
That man looked unhinged. I'm not gonna lie. We gotta wait to hear more about that because that is completely insane. And that's not anywhere really. No one's talking about that.
No, this is on New York Post. Well, if you look up Conor McGregor, it's the only headlines.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's insane.
That and him
insane.
about to have another kid.
Jesus Christ. I don't like that.
Yeah.
But whatever.
But yeah, Conor.
Yeah.
Regret the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's crazy. Because like I said, even the mascot video, like, yeah, I laughed a couple times. But I will say, I was like, yo, you look like you knew what you were doing, and that's not cool.
No.
That's not cool. Like,
and like everybody always says about fighters, like your hands are registered weapons.
Yeah, like watch that shit.
Yeah, be super careful. I don't just go juggling knives, right?
No.
Like, because first off, I can't juggle like that. But second off, that shit's dangerous.
That is dangerous.
Come on.
Also, talking a little bit more about sports, Messi's coming to the MLS. I know we're not huge soccer fans over here. I am.
We might become.
But I know, it's not a general theme to actually really love and support soccer. But I thought that was really good news because it will bring a lot more, I guess, conversation around the topic. And I'm ready to flex my sports soccer acumen to these ladies who are looking for, a soccer daddy.
Oh my God.
But no, all jokes aside, I'm trying to go see a game.
Yeah, I'm absolutely trying to see
You know what I mean?
I've been trying to go to a Sounders game for a while. It's just not been in the budget.
They're getting expensive.
Yeah.
With everything that's happening, because we've had this conspiracy, right, where I'm like, hey, how much time we got?
2 minutes.
So I got this conspiracy. I'm going to try to keep it quick. That our celebrities are not hanging out with all of these bigger world star soccer players. Megan, Romelu Lukaku. You got freaking Kim Kardashian and her kids overseas watching the games. You got all these things happening. And I really think it's because, obviously, we care about our celebrities here. And what better way to introduce mainstream soccer than to pair our biggest names with the biggest stars? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm right there with that conspiracy. Like, I feel like it's all a game.
Yeah.
Like how can we pair people up with each other in order to create super wealth and like super followable celebrities? Like, I don't know. Like, we are addicted to our celebrities.
Yeah.
The rest of the world doesn't do that kind of stuff as much.
But they do it for their soccer stars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy.
So for us to find new ways to monopolize on a person's image, that's the U.S. way, man.
Exactly. So with that, we'll be back. We have a little bit more to talk about. Show's almost over. It's good to be back. Hopefully we can make this a little bit more of a better reoccurrence without injuries and other life things happening. So yeah, the winning podcast.
Rolling.
The internet is an interesting place because when the internet gets washed, they make sure they get everything.